Well, hello and welcome. Well, today we are looking at Energy Development Plan. As we all know, the NDPC, started the process of putting a 40-year plan together to make this country work. We've all complained about manifestos not working because it's not plugged into a central system. So, jabo, they are here now. And so they started the process, not basically launching the plan, but how to put the plan together, which is all good. What we are going to then focus, take area by area. Today we're looking at energy to find out what would the people in the energy sector demand or expect to be in this plan. So it fits. Where do we need to be in 40 years' time? Fully nuclear, fully solar? What are we thinking? And indeed, how do we start? How are people going to buy into it? That's what we're doing. So today we're looking at the energy side of our 40-year plan. We like the 40-year plan. It has to work. We all have to buy into it. So let's see how it's going to pan out. Now with me in the studio is my one and only uncle, Engineer Robert Wood, energy analyst and also the crusading engineer. Uncle Wood, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And then my own brother, Kwame Jantua, who is a member of the NDPC, he's a commissioner of the NDPC, so he's in there with them. He's also the Deputy General Secretary for the CPP, who are very nationalistic inclined, if I may say. They had a 7-year plan. Indeed, one of the questions I'm going to put to him is that plan outdated, or can it be plugged into this 40-year plan? Can we at least do that 7-year plan and then add another 37? How does it work? But hey, it will all come out in the conversation. My name is Nanan Sakwa, and this is PM Express. When I come back, we are looking at how to plug energy into our 40-year plan. Don't move. Hello, and thank you very much for staying. Energy Development Plan. Where do we fit our energy in this 40-year plan? You and I know that, especially in this modern world, I don't even think you can even talk, mention, start writing development if you don't have energy. Unless, of course, as I keep saying, you're going to perform miracles. And even that, you probably need some energy to light up the premises where you're going to perform that miracles. Otherwise, everything that you do, you would need energy. And if you need energy, you need extra, or what they call spare energy, for just in case. With me in the studio, as I've already introduced them, Uncle Wood, as I call him, the crusading engineer, and Kwame Jantua, Deputy General Secretary, CPP, an energy expert to find out. But let me start with Kwame. Kwame, since you are a commissioner of NDPC, what's it going to be? Move from region to region and ask the people, what they want, and then it will be implemented in this plan, like the constitutional review did?
And if I may start with a quote from J.H. Mensah, 7-year development plan, 1969 to 1972. And he said, the real value of a plan is to give to the nation a sense of direction and to institute a system of positive discipline. So, goes without saying, what the National Development Plan does is to put things in perspective and be able to target your revenues effectively to specific projects. The process is going to be where we have now launched it. We are now gathering information from all stakeholders, because Ghanaians should own this National Development Plan. They should feel as part and parcel of their fabric. They should be able to discuss it in their bedrooms and in their dining halls, in their kitchens, eating their wachi and all that, so that they get imbibed in it, because it is what is going to direct us. So yes, we will start going into the community, start interviewing people, start talking to people, get people to send ideas as to what they want to see in their National Development Plan. It's key for them to be able to be part of it. But the most important thing is the political parties, to make sure the political parties are part of this system. Because without the political parties, a national development plan would be useless.
You see, I thought national plans were normally, you have experts who really understood the ground. They sit in the room, they draw the plan, and then they come and sell it to people. Because if you came to, I don't know, Eduma and ask them, what energy policy do you want in this plan? I mean, I don't know, what are we supposed to tell you?
The experts are there to put whatever information they've got together. But I have to be able to go into the rural areas. I have to be able to take the ideas of people, because you might think those in the rural areas know nothing. You'd be surprised the way they want to see their energy distributed within their community, where they want it done, what types they want it done. But in doing all that, you're also educating the Ghanaian public, especially those in the rural areas. We have extended electricity so far into our rural areas. What does it take? It's not only extending the electricity, you need to be able to also let them know that this electricity we've extended, we need to be able to pay for that electricity. We need to be able to create employment. We need to be able to bring all the facets of government together so that we can create industry and manufacturing and all those types of businesses within the locality. Because what does it do? It tends to halt the rural-urban drift into the urban communities. So it's a holistic plan that we hope would look at agriculture, would look at energy, would look at education, would look at all the facets of making a country strong. We talk about Korea, we talk about Singapore, we talk about all these countries. Korea has a 20-year national development plan for energy. And within this 20-year plan, it tells how they are going to move energy from one point they are now to the next. And that is what we're also looking to do where our energy is concerned. As you know, we sit here today and the electricity goes off, program is stopped. So energy is key in terms of how we put this national development plan together.
Good. When Sajifo was going to do his 7-year plan, I mean, he brought some big boys from outside the country who were knowledgeable, and they sat down, because the detail that sometimes goes into it baffles me. Basically, as they say, before you think, I have thought. They think, for you and let you know things that you may not even want, and they put it in a compilation, and then they sell it out. So this new one where we're going to go around asking people, is it a new form of putting a plan together?
I am totally with you, and I am not too happy with the approach that we want to adopt. But the most important thing, so far as I'm concerned, are the powers of the National Development Commission. We have serious problem there. I want to just read a small extract from what's called the Indian strategy. Mm-hmm. They introduced to Parliament of India by Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India. He says that the Planning Commission was to develop, execute, and monitor the development program of India. It is not the political party. It is not the political party. The country's first president said that plans are developed, executed, and monitored by the Planning Commission of India. And then the Commission derives its objectives and social premises from the directive principles of state policy enshrined in the Constitution. The Planning Commission was set up in 1950 to prepare the blueprint for development, taking an overall view of the needs and resources of the country. In line with the trend prevailing at the time, economic planning envisaged a growing public sector with massive investment in basic and heavy industries. Now, we all know the people that we have at the moment in this country. They don't have the knowledge. We are not in a knowledge economy. So if you're going to ask them for information, I think we'll do the wrong thing. We have studied, say, how the Canadians did it. They used what is called the input-output matrix. That is, first of all, collected a database of all the agricultural potential, the agricultural raw material of the nation, and then built up a value addition chain. Well, if I take cassava, I can go to starch, I can go to ethanol, glutamine, etc. If I take cow as an input, it means I can get my skin, my leather, my shoe, etc. And then they also did that for the industrial raw material base. Now, ask yourself, we, for the past few years, we've been importing about 6 million Ghana cedis of alum for water treatment. Meanwhile, we have bauxite. Why should that happen to us? Because we did not go the way the Canadians did by collecting the database of the industrial raw material and then plotting the value addition chain. Mm-hmm. After that, then what they did next was what they do, social statistical information. That is the population. From the population, if you know the growth of the population, we'll be able to work out your energy requirement. If energy is, say, 200 watts per person, it means that multiplied by the population, you know at least outside in the industry, the energy required. And you can project that 50 years ahead because you know the rate of growth. So you can do that. Then you can calculate, say, your water requirement because you have a certain quantity. Now, from that same table, you can work out the number of schools and classrooms because you know that in one classroom you have about 25 pupils. So from there, you do a projection. That is the social statistical information, where, in which case, you know that you require, for every 500 people, you require 1 policeman. So you also be able to project your police and have a big table. Now, then you go on to sandwich that with your imported list, things that you are importing. Then you have a matrix. Now, for instance, 2004, we imported 42 million Ghana cedis of outer covers and inner tubes. 2012, we imported 285 million outer covers and inner tubes. Now, if anybody has done a proper matrix, would have identified this. Here's a problem here because now from 42 million to 285 million. Meanwhile, you have a rubber plantation of about nearly 30,000 acres. Now you have had a rubber entire factory. So now this one will help you to do an extrapolation. So from there, then from the value addition chain, you'll be able to determine the type of processes that have multiple linkages. Then those that this is a priority that you should use. And from there, depending on the process, you'll be able to work your manpower requirement. And then, of course, you set up your training program. In fact, a few years ago, South Korea did that. And then in this kind of analysis, they actually identified 5 thematic areas. And in the analysis, they came to the conclusion that they required 83 tasks. And that they required 12 new scientific industrial research institutions, 10 of which were engineering. So this is then very scientific. But to go to Adumasi and then gather knowledge from the people have no knowledge. They don't know what is around them. Nkrumah really co-opted highly qualified economists all over the world and then say, right, please, this is what we have. Try to draw a program from us. After that, you could go back to the people and then try to see, because the people will talk about more social problems than economic development problems because they don't understand. So that is where I have a problem with the strategy being adopted by the National Development interest now.
Kwame, let me let you come in.
Yes. What Engineer Wood is saying is part and parcel of the fabric of what we're going to do.
Okay.
But you just can't go to the people and ask them, and that is it. No. If you would allow me to quote, what does the Constitution say with regards to the Commission? Article 87.2 of the 1992 Constitution, and I'll quote, it says, the Commission shall, at the request of the President or Parliament or on its own initiative, A, study and make strategic analysis of macroeconomic and structural reform options. Okay. B, make proposals for the development of a multi-year rolling plans taking into consideration the resource potential and comparative advantage of the different districts of Ghana. Now, with that one, you definitely have to involve the people in these different districts. And I said in my earlier submission that education is going to be key in terms of getting people to understand what we're talking about. C, it says make proposals for the protection of the natural and physical environment, make proposals to ensuring the even development of the districts of Ghana by the effective utilization of available resources. And E, monitor, evaluate, and coordinate development policies, programs, and projects. For me, the key here is that even if the president or parliament decide they are not going to do anything, the commission itself on its own initiative can set the ball rolling. So what Engineer Wood is saying is part and parcel of the brainstorming and the brain work that is going to go on with the commission. But you need to have the people. You cannot do this without the consent of the people. We expect the media to be key in a lot of the things we are going to do, where the media would now have the advantage to let people understand what is going on with this National Development Plan. Now, when you go to Article 479, which sets up NDPC, it says that to undertake studies and make recommendations on development and socio-economic issues, formulate comprehensive national development planning strategies, and ensure that the strategies, including consequential policies and programs, are effectively carried out. So whatever Engineer Wood is saying fits in neatly. And that roundtable brainstorming work are going to involve people like Engineer Wood, who will invite into the commission to also take his ideas. Now, he cited other countries. We are looking at all of that to see how we can get the benefits of these different countries to put in this National Development Plan. It's a comprehensive plan, and we're looking between now and 2018 for that document to be ready. So you can imagine the type of work that is going to go into it.
Now, let's narrow down to energy, even though the broader conversation is very, very interesting, but narrow down to energy. Now, in energy, is there anything new in energy that can be added to this plan? Has all the research and everything not been done, all the challenges in the sector, haven't they all been ironed out already?
It's a good thing. It's a good thing as to where we are today where energy is concerned. Because what does it do? It opens up the pitfalls in our energy policy and even our energy mix. Because up till now, what have we been depending on? Hydro. There are other forms of energy we need to consider, because we've all seen the effects of Dumso. It's going to be a holistic plan which brings into focus all the different subsectors and types of energy we can harness to make sure that we have ample energy. And please remember, the energy we're talking about is not only for domestic use. The energy is a threefold thing. It's domestic, it's industrial, and most importantly of all, it's for export.
My question is, what would make, I have here, which is, printed online, and this is Ghana's energy problem. The key challenges in the energy sector, the key challenges facing the energy sector are following. Rapid growing demand for energy by all sectors due to expanding economy and growing population, risk of significant imbalance between energy production and indigenous source of supply, inadequate investment to match the growing energy demand, and it goes on and on, over reliance of wood fuels, which could threaten the countries. If I put this in page, let's say 16 of the energy policy, would we do it? It's already there. We are not doing it. What will make us do it if suddenly I write it in the 40-year plan?
I believe that communication and making sure that people understand the fabric of all that is very, very important. Where people understand why certain things need to be done a different way. Where people understand why in certain parts of the country, you cannot get hydro to fire those types of projects. In certain parts of the country where you're trying to set up industrial bases, there are certain forms of electricity that you would use rather than others. People need to understand these things. People need to say, okay, if we go in for nuclear, which we would have to actually go in and see the advantage of it and see how we can use it. It's not just a matter of having it, because if you just have it, really and truly, it might not serve your purpose and it can become a white elephant. It has to be targeted to particular areas of the economy that can bring a return. So you're not going to have nuclear and just power domestic use. You can use other forms of electricity or energy to power domestic use. But those that can now turn the economy around, like for instance, our mining sector, they use a lot of electricity. We have bauxite. Engineer who just talked about bauxite. We have huge quantities of bauxite, which needs electricity to refine. These types of areas, we need to be able to target the right type of generation to make sure that we get maximum use out of it.
Engineer Wood,
yes.
So now I am with
I'm really happy. I hope he had power to execute what he's saying. You see, my problem, I have not seen any clear declaration that we are going to solve the energy problem using homegrown solution. All the time, the emphasis that I've been hearing is that we need to go thermal. That is good. But if we need to go thermal, then we need to go for a fuel that is not going to be imported, so that we will get stuck finding the money to pay for the crude oil. So if we are going to go thermal, then we must agree that if we are going thermal, then we are going to use vegetable oil to fire the plants, as is being done in Brazil. And it can be done because we have the land resources and we have the climate to actually grow and produce the quantity of vegetable oil that can be used to fire those plants. Now, why should we sit down and look at Malaysia? Malaysia is right now producing about 20 million tons of palm oil. 2 years ago, a German company imported palm oil from Ghana to fire plant in Germany. I was involved. Now, so what I'm saying is that if we say we are going thermal, then let us create those conditions that will allow us. We don't need more than 3 million tons of vegetable oil to fire the plants. Now, he had talked about firewood, which I agree. He said that, well, depletion of firewood is going to, but I know that Germany, which is on paragraph 51, is using firewood for power production by specially growing the wood and harvesting intelligently for power production. Biomass is produced when you have sun, you have water and carbon dioxide. Now, because we are around the equator, we have more sun than Germany. So definitely then our biomass production will be higher than that of Germany. So why should we leave all this land? You drive from here to Aflao. Look at that land on your left and right. When you have only 1 kilogram of dry wood will give you 1 kilowatt hour of electricity when you gasify it. So why should we sit down here and then the people are just roaming about? We have the land. Instead of mobilizing them to create energy banks from forests, which we can use to fire and to produce all the power that we need. You remember last year, the president said that we consume 30 million tons of firewood. 1 kilogram, 1 kilowatt hour. It means that that is 30 million megawatts of power. We allow it to go. So I am anxious to see a homegrown solution. That's what the Brazilians have done. I cannot see why United States on southern Wyoming, over 100,000 hectares, is trying to derive 3,000 megawatts by installing wind turbines. Over 100,000 hectares. Because wind density and wind speed is low, they put 1 tower over 100 acres before, Now everybody knows that we have a huge wind corridor sitting on the Volta Lake. Is that wind corridor that is inducing the tidal waves there? Is that wind corridor that is making it impossible to have good rains in the Volta region right now into the western region because this corridor disturbs the rain? why are we not able to use this corridor to generate power from wind?
So as part of the 40-year plan, you want a homegrown solution with this in there?
I want a homegrown solution because we don't have that money to be importing the crude. These barges that are coming, I'm telling you, we are going to get stuck. Where are we going to get that money? But I don't feel that presently Ghana, we're all committed, both MPP and NDC, so far the energy programs are concerned. I don't see any serious commitment to use homegrown solution to solve the energy problem. That one I don't see.
But it's very true, because anytime we talk energy, we're talking as bringing something from...
Okay.
The point is that we are getting into a new phase with the National Development Plan. Definitely, it would not be right on our part not to even look at homegrown solutions. It would be the first point of call for us to look at what do we have now that we can create energy out of. What do we have? We need to sit down and interrogate that before we start even thinking of other things. And if people like Engineer Wood is still around, we can gather all of them, their knowledge on all these things, and put it together. Let's see how much energy we can gather from homegrown. Once we are able to identify that, we now look at the other forms that come from outside our country to see how we can augment that. So yes, it's all going to be part and parcel of it. It's not going, we are not going to do it as we've done it before, because as we've done it before, it hasn't helped us. We are sitting here today, as Engineer Wood said, we are buying crude oil at a high rate, $3 million a day. Can we not use that money to invest in homegrown solutions? We can't do that. So we are looking, and when we say we are going into the communities, these are some of the things we are going to talk about. These are some of the things we are going to look at. What kind of tracts of land do we have? We're talking about wind. What kind of tracts of areas do we have where we have high velocity of wind? We're looking at water. We're looking at our rivers. We're looking at all these different types of energy generation. And we need, at the end of the day, to have a generation medium which would benefit Ghanaians, and most importantly of all, would benefit the economy. Because really and truly, we cannot be sitting in Ghana today and everything is imported. It is not sustainable. There has to come a point where we say it has to stop. And even if it is chalewote that we are manufacturing, even if it is car tires we are manufacturing, even if it is matchsticks we are manufacturing, we do it to such quality that we can even export some of it. So it's all holistic. It's all part and parcel. We are not leaving anything out. We are going to bring everything into the mix. And in doing so, we will see how best we can get this energy, if I can call it elephant, together, so that come 40 years, we would sit back and say, we've benefited from what we put in. And just to clarify, when we talk about 40 years, we're not talking about a 40-year long-term development plan. It will be batches of 10 years as we go along. So every 10 years we come back and we say, what have we achieved with this development plan this 10 years? We go into the next 10 years till we get to 2057, and then another takes over. Probably by then I'll be 100 years, I'll be dead and gone. But at least our children, we would have been able to put it in our children for them to be able to follow that line also.
I'm really happy with this explanation, because some of us have been telling ourselves, say 40 years, my God, look at the rate at which technology is changing. So if you are making projections for 40 years, knowing the speed at which technology is changing, you could be way off, because technology is changing so fast. Now people are talking about using drones even to distribute letters. You know, Kenya. I mean, you have these bullet planes, trains, and all these kind of highly advanced technologies. Talking about three-dimensional.
But let me tell you one thing: drones are doing in very inhospitable areas. They are using it for Wi-Fi over a certain duration of time. So the drones are flying around and it's providing Wi-Fi into areas that you cannot even get.
That's it.
So it's technology.
That's it. The technology is moving so fast.
It would be part and parcel of all that. It would be very wrong of us to steep ourselves in what we had before. You were talking about the Nkrumah 7-year development plan. It could be part and parcel of what we're doing. But it has to be tuned to today's Ghana. We have to use the technology we have today to see how best we can bring that into today's Ghana. And as I said, we're not only looking at one national development plan, we are taking it from different countries and taking the best out of that, including our homegrown, to make sure that we have a holistic national development plan as we move forward.
Engineer Wood, the energy system we're using today is probably as maybe 1965. You know, we don't have bypass lines, we don't have governance lines. They can't stand the rain, they can't stand the thunder. A bird flies over, the lights go up. So, in going forward, what do we do? Do we change all these lines and, you know, electricity which can stand the rain? Because why does it go off when it rains anyway?
Basic infrastructure that we must have as Ghanaians. That basic is in the corner. For instance, we need to create that machine building capacity as a part of a major infrastructure. Because now you are going to develop, you need tractors, bulldozers, all these things. Are you going to be importing all these things all the time? So creating a machine building capacity is a fundamental infrastructure that we should do before 2018. Because the amount of spare parts and other materials that are being imported, if we were to have an advanced machine tool center, it could also go a long way to help to solve the energy problem. Now, we have Abuaze, what do you call, apart from Abuaze, where we had the glass factory, Abuaze glass factory. Abuaze glass factory. Now, when you are talking about wind turbines, you require towers, you know, 120 meter, 85 meter blade, and so on. Now, that fiberglass is made from molten glass. But we had that infrastructure of the glass factory, which we virtually destroyed.
But I'm told that Russian technology was so outdated that we can use it.
The glass?
Yeah.
But we're producing high quality sheet glass there. All the beer bottles were being produced at Abuaze.
I see.
Not Abuaze. Abuaze glass factory. You see, so there are certain basic infrastructure that we must have, like say steel works, we must have. But I think that the most important one, you see, what we need to do at the moment is to look at what we call the parameters of value addition. First of all, let us ask ourselves, what do you do with our time in this country? There are no timelines for whatever we do. There's no timeline for permits, for licenses, for anything. In fact, it's a total administrative inertia. We need to solve that, and I don't know how the National Development Commission is going to do that. The next important element is the tool factor, that we are using very antiquated tools. This is a fundamental infrastructure that must be resolved. Otherwise, it will be difficult to move forward. Then the next, of course, is the use of materials that are available. These ones must be analyzed. And then, of course, our manpower development. But our manpower development, of course, should be tied to clearly defined objectives, because then that is, I mean, if you don't have the appropriate manpower, you will not be able to do anything. Then, of course, from there, how we use money generally. If we are going to continue using the money with the plans that they are coming, the way we are using money for the past so many years, it will be a non-starter. We will never reach anywhere. Then, of course, the energy and information systems. I would want to see clearly defined strategies for dissemination of information. Information is a major parameter in the value addition chain. I was trying to glance through the documents, and I was hoping to see these 7 parameters addressed. Right now, there's so much inertia in time, in obtaining permits, in getting judgment. That is something that we must tackle right now. And I would be happy to know how are this within the strategy of the National Development Project, how these problems are addressed. Unfortunately, we didn't hear anybody addressing these problems during the Senchi consensus, but Senchi should have really addressed these problems.
Nana, if I may, if you permit me to try and answer
Sure.
some of these questions. In yesterday's launch, we actually answered some of those questions. We asked the question, what would a long-term national development plan for Ghana look like? And in that, we're drawing it from the directive principles of state policy. And that national vision encompasses the kind of society we're trying to create here. What are some of those goals? One, inclusive and resilient economy is key. Two, equitable and tolerant society. What does that tolerant society mean? There needs to be a paradigm shift in the way we think in this country. Huge paradigm shift. Because without that paradigm shift, a national development plan will be useless. People need to know that you cannot drink sachet water and throw it on the streets. People need to know that you cannot get to a traffic light and cross the traffic light when it's red. So it is important that in the national development plan, these things do come out. Very, very important.
We've enjoyed our freedom so much. And indeed, for fear of, not being voted for, we've been allowed to enjoy our freedom. Because if you let me enjoy my freedom, I'll vote for you. If I put my kiosk on the pavement, I'll vote for you. And that's become the trend. Are you now going to come and tell us that, no, you can't have that freedom anymore? There must be limitations?
Yes, we are. Because if you go to Pram Pram today, the spatial planning of Ghana has started there. When you go to Pram Pram today, the type of enforcements we've put in to Pram Pram as a model, you cannot just get up and build a kiosk anywhere. And that should permeate through the whole society of Ghana. And these are some of the things we're going to do. We're going to make sure that discipline is key. One of the other things in this says safe and sustainable communities. How do you get a safe and sustainable community if it's not disciplined? How do you get a safe and sustainable community if the police don't have the wherewithal to make sure that discipline is observed by the people? Effective and efficient institutions. Without an efficient institution, an effective institution, how do you make sure that the laws that you put in place are enforced? Very, very important. And contribute to world peace and justice. So important. So the facets of the vision are there. And as we go along, we would open that discussion. And I'm not saying this is the only thing. More will come into the pot. And by 2018, we are sure we would have a comprehensive document that would address a lot of the mishaps we are facing today.
The fundamental question that this, the new, what was it, national development, should have more power than the government. Otherwise, the thing will not work. It must, as the Indians did it, they actually execute, and they are made of public servants. They are not party members. But presently, they wouldn't make the recommendation, draw the program, and then the government or the party in power will implement it. This is not what happened in India. This is not what happened in Korea. So as far as we are going by the same old system, no matter how good the national planning thing is done. Now, suppose you talk about conscientization. If a political party starts doing conscientization, they will say indoctrination. Nobody will take it. But if the National Planning Commission is doing that as sensitization and conscientization so that you don't throw things away, once people know that this is an independent and non-party, they will accept it. But once under the present system, the government or the party in power is going to virtually implement this, I have serious misgivings.
Nana, I believe it's a gradual process. Up until today, who heard of...
Now you started...
Wait, please, just a minute. Okay. Up until today, who heard of the NDPC? Did we hear anything in the past of the NDPC?
Quite silent.
Very, very quiet, very, very silent. But the NDPC is the fabric and skeleton to everything we do in this country, especially the economy. And so, as the NDPC gets stronger, as people get to know what it can do, that kind of power you talk about will come to fruition automatically. Political parties would have to succumb to the NDPC. You cannot go and write a manifesto when there's a national development plan and what you've written is not in the national development plan. It is the people who would ask the question, But the National Development Plan says we're doing X, we're doing Y, we're doing A. Why have you put this in your manifesto? And so it's a gradual process. We hope that gradual process will be faster, whereby the National Development NDPC would be strong enough to bite and make sure that political parties who come into power can do what the long-term development plan has put.
Let me take
together.
a break here, and then when I come back, I hope the phones are working so we can go to the phone so we hear your thoughts. Would you rather some big experts who knows how to put statistics out to come and say, look, this is the way we are going, or you rather you all sat down in a room and we voted and say, yeah, let's go left, let's go right? Stay tuned, we're coming straight back. Well, fortunately, the phone lines are not working, so I can't get you to join the show, but I think the conversation in here is quite interesting. Engineer Wood, one thing that have really backed me is, that we don't build a transformer, even a transformer. Even though any transformer breaks down, there's an engineer here who can fix the transformer for one reason or the other. I've asked this question so many times, and it's like, don't even go there, because we are not going to build a transformer. We'll buy from Taiwan. If it breaks down, we'll fix it. We'll import the part and fix it. But we will not build a transformer. And all this doom we saw in 4 years down, even up to 20 kVA generator. I'm not saying let's build a 300 one, but at least up to 20 kVA generator. We should be able to cast a block and put oil in it and put a spark plug and make it work.
I think because of the absence of clearly defined National Development Program, because 2005, we worked with UNIDO, and then we pleaded, and UNIDO brought in 230 kilowatt hydro plants for us to replicate. As I'm talking in 2015, they are in boxes at Tema VRA warehouse. Simple 2 hydro plants. You have a disc, you have buckets on the disc, you direct the water to hit the buckets, it turns round, turns the generator, and you have power. And you see, if you erect a wall, or what you call a well, 9 feet over any stream, you start generating power. We have over 10,000 streams in this country. We could generate power for small villages. And then, well, my grandson is in China. Do you know what is happening? Because you have a lot of bio-waste, each village, they have centralized biogas system so that the supply to the house is free. And they don't need to go to the place to pick firewood, because every biomass can be converted into fuel through biogas system. So we need to look at these things. We had this sulfon ceramics. We could have produced insulators. But now we collapse the sulfon ceramics, and we are importing insulators from.
Good. We need to really break this down. So, like with energy, I mean, where should we start? I mean, where do we start from?
As for me, I would say that if we start from using wood, I'm talking about wood that is sitting in the forest right now, because I did say here that when you harvest timber, it's 42 feet or 48 feet. Every part below or above this is left in the bush. And we have done this survey, and we know that it's a lot of wood sitting down, because where they are, the villagers do not have the capacity to go and retrieve them. So we can bring in containerized power generators, where this wood can go straight into these systems. You only require 15 liters of well water for 1 kilogram of 1 kilowatt of electricity. You require 0.001 of gas and 0.001 of diesel for this system to produce 1 kilowatt power electricity. So I'm saying, let us go and retrieve that wood sitting there in the forest for power generation, and concurrently start a mass reforestation to create more material for wood gas production. And this is what Germany is doing. This is what Brazil is doing. Now, the second one actually should have been the first, to go all out for solar. Because I do not understand why Germany on Parallel 51 above the equator is on 38,000 megawatts of solar. when Germany cannot get more than 1,000 watts of solar radiance per square meter, and there are places in Ghana, 12 o'clock, you get 2,300 watts of solar radiance per square meter. And we are less than 10 megawatts. And the people who have half our energy are on 38,000 megawatts. That doesn't make sense to me. Germany is using fuel from rapeseed. Rapeseed, you cannot get more than 1,000 kilograms of rapeseed per hectare. We in Ghana here, palm oil, if you do it properly, you get above 3,000 kilograms per hectare. So we are advantage 3 to 1. And the people who are disadvantaged 1 to 3 are using vegetable oil for power production. We are advantage 3 to 1, and we are not using vegetable oil. And the land is there, people are there, and there's no work. And we just become so helpless. We have talked finally about making money from the Volta Lake. I want to repeat, please, there's big money sitting on the Volta Lake. We can rear indefinite quantity of fish. And the only problem is how to feed the fish. So we are saying that we can use wing termites. Wing termites are ordinary termites. When they grow to maturity and you spray water on them, they grow the wings. So we are saying that on the banks of the Volta Lake, please let us set up greenhouses. These termites, they eat soil mixed with rubbish. So when we feed them on this, and then we put solar lamps on the Volta, we release them appropriately, they will fly towards the lamps, they will become cheap food for the fish. And in 8 months, fingerlings in the pond will grow from fingerlings to 600 grams. So virtually in 8 months, 1 year, a properly organized program should fill the whole river with so much fish. We make so much money. If you have fish, you can process the fish, use the fish oil for power production. So what are we waiting for?
That's a big hurdle, isn't it?
I believe one of the major challenges we have in this country is policy, the way we formulate our policies. And there has to be a huge paradigm shift in that. Taking into consideration what Engineer Wood is saying, those policies that we put out should be policies that are effective and can do something. Because we have all the policies we want, but when you actually look at them, they don't go anywhere. And so those civil servants who are, and bureaucrats who are responsible for writing out these policies should have a different mindset. Look, a lot of our people in the civil service, a lot of our experts go out there and learn things and come back. Do we see any results from that?
Nothing.
Nothing. They come back and they sit on it. We need to have a paradigm shift of being patriotic. All the countries Engineer Wood talks about, the people are patriotic. And I keep saying that any foreigner who comes into this country to exploit our resources has a permanent interest and no permanent friends. We have to have the permanent friends. We need to start with us, and we need to believe in ourselves. Some of us have propagated that the Volta Basin, which is onshore oil production, where they say 3/4 of Ghana's land mass is covered in oil and gas, should be left to Ghanaians alone.
Yes, of course.
Should be left to Ghanaians alone.
This conversation hasn't ended. As I told you yesterday, that this development plan, we'll be looking at it sector by sector. We'll take education, we'll take agric, and then we'll be discussing to find out where they all plug into this 40-year dream and how to make successful. But we can tell how much the challenge is, because to even change our psyche and eat away some of our wrong freedom, if I may say, that we've enjoyed for so long, is one hurdle before we even start chapter 1 of our development plan. But it has to happen one way or the other. Let me say thank you very much to Tanti's Fashion, who makes my shirts for the show. And Tanti's Fashion is on 024-366-2001. 024-366-2001. I want to say thank you to Kwame Gentua, Deputy General Secretary CPP, Commissioner NDPC, the gas and energy expert. I want to say thank you very much to Uncle Wood, who's also an energy analyst and energy expert and a crusading engineer and done a lot. And I want to urge you again to definitely buy the repercussions of the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah. You'll be amazed at how much history there is. Thursdays, as usual, that's my opinion, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Joy 99.7 100.7 or My Joy Online. And tomorrow,
I don't miss that one.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
And tomorrow I am asking badge indeed. Why am I saying that? Apparently now we're going to import 10 badges. And each of the badges, whether we use it or not, the owners are charging us $350 million. Folks, tune in tomorrow. Thank you very much, Azalu, for directing, and thank you very much to Jennifer, to Nee for doing the production. My name is Nana Sakwao, and this is PM Express.